This pandemic began, we were not sure how it spread. Everyone began wearing masks and using hand sanitizers, great ways to slow the spread, but a lot of people still get sick. I can personally attest to that. We now know that COVID-19 spreads via aerosols and droplets from the nose and mouth, and I've been thinking about this for a while. Why aren't we also sanitizing the nose and mouth, killing the virus directly at the place where it spreads? Why weren't more doctors thinking about this? Well, some doctors have done the research. Wish I discovered it sooner. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Halodyne. It's an FDA-registered antiseptic for the nose and mouth that's proven to eliminate 99.99% of the virus that causes COVID-19 in just 15 seconds. That's right. It's created by a team of clinicians with decades of experience in antiviral treatments, initially created to protect healthcare workers. These are smart scientists, and it's a great product that also eliminates many other viruses and infecting particles. I'm using both their nasal antiseptic swab and their oral spray to help protect those around me, and you should be too. For others and for yourself. Whether you're hopping on a 3-hour flight, always use it there, visiting grandparents, or attending a meeting that you can't miss, Halodyne's family of oral and nasal antiseptics give you the safe, easy, on-the-go antiviral protection for up to 4 hours. I encourage you to try Halodyne at halodyne.com today. My listeners get 10% off with the discount code Dr. Drew. That is HALODINE.com, discount code DRDREW. So obvious, it just makes sense. Stop the virus before it spreads and gets in your body with Halodyne.
Hey, everyone. It's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Oh, I guess somebody's saying we're not on YouTube, but maybe we are. Bunny said maybe not.
No, I see somebody on YouTube.
All right.
Soup Dan.
So
hey, Soup Dan.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Tom Cigar in the house.
Dr. Drew.
We are setting up also on Clubhouse.
Just in case somebody wants to chat.
Yeah, if anybody wants to be part of the conversation here, you just raise your hand and I'll bring you up out of the audience. But by raising your hand, you're agreeing to be on the stream that we're doing on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. What happened to Periscope,
this
Susan?
episode is courtesy of Seed, Halodyne, Hydrolite, iWand, and Blue Mike.
Excellent. All good stuff. Really good stuff. And I was pushing the Halodyne on Ami Horowitz yesterday. So
He didn't take it.
No, he took it.
Oh, he did?
But I was pushing on him. And
show him what the swabs look like.
They look like this.
Stick it up your nose.
I shall. It's this easy. It makes the masks work better.
Maybe you won't sneeze at 4 o'clock.
Though there's some great data that just came out on the vaccines in terms of being able to prevent infection so you can't transmit. It's on the order of 90%. And some pretty good data on the variants as well. Bad data with the AstraZeneca. That has very low activity against the variants. That's actually quite concerning.
Oh, we forgot to put a heading on the Clubhouse.
This is, by the way, what we're used to doing these days. We're used to our noses being swabbed out all the time.
You didn't make a heading, but happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody.
Yes, indeed. I need a Kleenex, Susan. You had me.
I don't have any
sitting here with Creatine pouring out of my nose. Tom Cigar has cigars and Hydrolite. That's his new drink.
Nice.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a good combo.
That's fine. Thank you.
Ooh, gosh.
And what's going on with Periscope, everybody? Do we know what the deal is there?
I think we're good. Let me see it. I mean,
no one is there.
I don't see anybody.
Yeah, no one is
there. Oh gosh, not again. It showed up on. Let me see here. It says you have 103 viewers, so I guess it's okay. They're just not talking. Hey, Periscope.
Okay. Periscope
shout out.
So we apologize to Periscope for not having been available the last couple of days. Again, people are coming into the audience at Clubhouse, and what we're doing here is a stream on Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, and Facebook. What else did I leave out? YouTube.
And you'll be live.
And you'll be live on those streams. If you raise your hand, I'll bring you up, ask any question you want. It's sort of I wouldn't say ask me anything, but just ask your questions here. In the meantime, I'm watching you guys on the restream. Sonia, the AstraZeneca vaccine is the AstraZeneca vaccine. We aren't really using it in this country, though I'm hearing that we have ordered some. I'm not sure I could recommend that one. Let's just look up what you guys are thinking about today. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Yes,
okay,
indeed.
we'll get the restream up here.
Okay, we've got a couple hands up here. I'm going to bring Dan in, see if he has any questions. Hey, Dan, what's happening? Uh-oh. Hold on a second. I don't hear you. 1 second. Susan? I'm not hearing Dan.
No sound.
Oh, Dan hasn't come up yet. Maybe that's the problem. He's not come up out of the audience.
Dan the man. Well, yeah, he has to come up.
Does he have to choose to come up?
Well, I don't know.
All right, let me try Ben. See if I can get Ben up here.
This is where you get a little bit of, you have to do a little technology.
There's Ben. Hey, Ben, what's happening?
Hey, Dr. Drew. Appreciate the bringing me up.
You bet.
So my question is, you just mentioned the vaccine, the AstraZeneca, had some not so good negative data coming out of the AstraZeneca in terms of activity.
Yep.
So hypothetically, given the option between a few different vaccines, I live in Canada, but given the option between a few different vaccines, which one would you recommend as a healthcare professional?
I don't think there's a substantive difference between Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. Each of them have their slight little benefits, one versus the other, so let's kind of talk about it. Pfizer's been having real-world data pile in that looks amazing. 90% plus reduction in infection, 100% hospitalization, really high-level data, 86% against the variants. So Pfizer has all this great data. Moderna has similar data and a booster coming soon, which is kind of nice in case the variant gets going, particularly the 1.35, the 1.351, 1.351. And the 1117, I'm really not that concerned about. I'm really not. I think there's adequate immunity against that. And when Johnson & Johnson, that vaccine is, of course, the benefit of just being one vaccine. I do believe there probably will be a booster one day from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but they had early good data against the South African variant and equally good data against the, risk of hospitalization and risk of severe COVID. They don't yet have I don't think they have their data yet on does it prevent infection, right? If you prevent infection, you prevent transmission. And that's the one thing that we didn't know before that we know today, like literally in the last day or so, we've discovered this. So if you lined me up and said, take any one of these today, I'd probably take Pfizer, but it really is not a substantive difference. I don't think I would take AstraZeneca, though at the beginning I thought that was going to be a pretty good vaccine. There's concerns about blood clotting. There's concerns about activity against the variants. Why do that when we have all these other ones? Right?
Gotcha. And I gotcha. And that's based on real world data,
yep.
Like in different countries that have
real world data, like right here in right where people are actually getting the vaccine. That's what they didn't have before that we have now. Let's see if I can get Dan up here now. Thanks, Ben.
There's a couple of questions. Somebody said, have you seen the CDC mask report? It says it's at best masks are 2% effective. And the other one said, is it okay to get Pfizer at 30 days, not 21? The pharmacies are delaying.
Yes, it's okay to get 30 days for sure. The mask data, that doesn't sound right to me. I'd like to see where that was published. If you guys can give me that, I'll pull that up.
Put the link up.
Yeah, please. Let's see. Dan, what's going on?
Hey, Dr. Drew.
Hey,
I was curious. I got my first Moderna shot last Wednesday, and I'm curious if I'm covered at all at this point, a week out, or when that becomes effective at all.
Yeah, you can't rely on it at a week. You probably have some efficacy. You probably definitely have something at 2 weeks, but how much is sort of you're playing a little Russian roulette there. Some people say 80-90%, but it's not guaranteed. It's not been. Again, at one point we were talking about eliminating the second vaccine because one vaccine is so efficacious. So you're pretty good, but I wouldn't rely on it, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So don't be heedless. Keep being careful. Especially, we really don't have any data against the variants that I'm aware of in terms of the. Susan, you're in the room here with me. How about that?
I know. I'm looking and I'm here.
I
but
wonder,
I don't need to get on.
It just occurred to me. Is there any way we could get Dr. Knock in here for a quick update on all this stuff? Do you think you could text him and say, zoom in?
Let me see if he's on. Much? Is he on Clubhouse?
He is. I don't know if he's on Clubhouse. That's a great question.
Let me ask him. He may be busy, Drew.
He did his Twitter for today, his TikTok for today, and that's usually what he does at the end of the day. And I think he's in a different time zone than we are. I think. Yeah, if you guys, Dr. Knock is a really good follow on TikTok.
Should have thought of it before we started.
I know. My brain isn't working right because I had COVID, and it's quite disturbing, I must tell everyone. I get overwhelmed by tasks. I have weird word-finding problems. I need to sleep more. I am certainly not me at this moment. Let me look at your guys' question. Rory, the phone line is not open. You have to go to Clubhouse, go into the audience, raise your hand, and then I'll bring you up out of the audience. Joe Giannotti's in there. Joe, I was going to say, it's so funny. Joe just put in the
Joe up.
He hasn't raised his hand. But he just mentioned in the
don't worry,
restraint.
he'll raise it.
Well, but wait a minute. Listen, he said something in here I was about to make a comment about that I think is hysterical. I'm watching severe weather outbreak in the South. Quite a few tornadoes confirmed today. Joe's a meteorologist, and I've been watching that stuff in the South, and it looks very, very dangerous. There's Joe. Joe raised his hand. How about that? Hi, Joe.
Yes, as soon as you said, I haven't raised my hand, I decided to raise my hand.
Fair enough. So it's scary down in Louisiana and even deeper in the South. Crazy, right?
It is a crazy day. Right now, the worst of the weather right now is in Mississippi heading into Alabama.
Crazy. I don't even know how to understand that kind of weather. We just don't have that out here.
Fortunately, I mean,
thank God.
Fortunately, California does not have that weather, as well as New York has it rarely.
Yeah. So how are you? Everything good?
Everything's good. I was working on more COVID data today.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you up. What do you think about the Middle Atlantic situation? Nationally, things are plateauing, and it seems like Mid-Atlantic's maybe ticking up. Is that true?
That is true. I saw in New York today, even though the problem with New York is New York does so much testing every day. So even though they may say that, the percentage is 3.5%.
Right.
Well, it doesn't matter. When you do 250 tests one day on 150,000 tests the next day, it's a big difference. So
right.
I look at raw numbers in New York. So there were 9,000 positive cases today, or around 9,000. Hospitalizations are ticking up. Deaths are not.
Yeah, that's good.
As I said yesterday to you, I think that's because in New York, especially in New York, they have a better handle of hospitalized patients now because of what they have gone through. I
want to answer. Yes, they've been
in New York.
Right. I know. Kevin Kanda asked if you've been testing positive for COVID antibodies, why get a vaccine? The sort of routine antibody test you get at a laboratory that's commercially available typically are sort of almost qualitative. It's like, do you have them? How much? It's not a very specific test. And Dr. Fauci has urged everyone who've had COVID to get the vaccine after 3 months. You're pretty immune for 3 months. We think there's good activity against the variants as well. But after 3 months, we don't know right now. So that's why he's advocating for the vaccine. I myself am getting an additive score every 3 or 4 weeks. And right now I'm way above vaccine levels. So you're right. Why would I get a vaccine? So I'm not. However, we are contemplating some travel coming up in June. And a lot of airlines are requiring vaccine and a vaccine certificate to even get on a plane. So probably at some point I'll be required to get it. So there's the reason why. It's all sort of arbitrary. But,
I'm glad you bring that up because, and I'm going to post this on Locals. I saw a tweet earlier today with a graph of those who have been vaccinated compared to those who have not been vaccinated and the antibody cross immunity. And I wanted to ask you about that. It seems like those who actually have had COVID are much, much higher on the cross immunity for COVID than those who were vaccinated.
When you say cross immunity, you mean against the variants?
No, not just against the variants, but against COVID itself.
Hold on a second.
Meaning
cross immunity for COVID. I don't quite get it.
Meaning, and maybe I'm saying it incorrectly, and I'm sorry if I am, but I'm talking about the odds of, it seems like those who were infected with COVID, like yourself, the immunity that you have, the protection that you have of not getting reinfected, is much, much lower than someone actually getting. It was a chart.
So the vaccine is better than COVID. Is that what you're saying? Fundamentally,
no, of course. No, COVID's better than the vaccine.
Okay, right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and the thing about COVID is you're reacting to more than just the spike protein. When you have all these vaccines are designed just to build the spike proteins and then build the immune response to that. We have nuclear capsid protein antibodies. We have all sorts of other antibodies against this virus. that theoretically should work somewhat, if not entirely, against the variant. Now, part of my testing at Additix is they told me they're going to get an antigen set up so they're going to be able to test my antibodies against the variants, which would be tremendously reassuring, I got to tell you. And such as it is, they're able to tell me that I have 95% or something, like 90% plus neutralizing antibodies, which is also very, very great, good sign of significant immunity.
When is that? When will that be available in the United States? Because
Apparently,
you had said February.
You go to Easy Testing, EAZY Testing. It's available in California. That's all I know so far, and I don't know what it costs. So somebody can maybe go to Easy Testing and check it out for me. All right, Joe, I'm going to let other people come on up here, okay?
Very well. Have a
Thanks,
great
man.
evening.
You too.
Love you, Joe.
There's Joe. Again, the deal is here. If you raise your hand, there you are. I'll bring you on up. And if you do raise your hand and I bring you up, you are agreeing to be on our live stream here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. Jamie, is that correct? Jamie? Oh, wait. Jamie.
Hi.
Hey there.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you.
How about
I've been
that?
a big fan since I was a teenager, and I'm in my mid-30s now. So,
Uh-oh.
wow.
That sounds like a teen mom sort of
No.
zone.
No.
Okay.
Just like back when Love Line was a TV show, kind
Yep.
of dating
Oh,
myself.
wow.
Yep, the 90s.
But, you know,
Mhm.
my mom told me I wasn't allowed to watch it, but she went to bed before it was on. So, you know,
There
she'd
you
go
go.
to bed, and I would turn it on really quietly. So I guess I should say first-time caller, long-time listener.
Excellent.
As they would say. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Can I ask you a non-COVID related
Yeah,
question?
absolutely. Anything. What's up?
Okay, just because this has like always been my dream, but I'm just wondering when you plan to run for president of the United States.
Well, I don't have a plan. I have been rolling around the idea of running for governor in California because we have a recall effort here. And it's much easier to get elected to governorship when there's a recall. But I started thinking about some of the things I've agreed to in the upcoming year, and I have some contractual. Did I talk to you about this, Susan, yet?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I
I
know.
have some contracts, and I don't think I can. I don't think I can in any way
I told you that a year and a half ago.
Yeah. So the governor thing, I think, is out. The president thing, you want to do that to
You
me?
got 4 years.
Jamie, you want to put
I know,
me through
really?
that?
Listen, all I'm asking for is the Penske Corolla ticket, and especially after, which probably, you guys probably don't agree politically on anything, which is funny. It would be very comical. However, it might be a good thing because I think we kind of need that balance between the two sides.
Fair enough. The Love Line ticket. So do you ever listen to him and I? We have a podcast together. Have you ever listened to that?
I have not.
You haven't?
So you can.
No.
They're still alive.
We are doing a podcast 3 days a week.
I'm going to show the banner just for
Here's the
everybody
banner,
who
but the
doesn't know.
Clubhouse can't see it.
I know, but it's called the Adam and Dr. Drew Show.
So you can get it at
Go to drdrew.com and
yeah,
find the
just
links.
click on shows and the links are all there.
It's on iTunes, you know.
Yeah, iTunes. Yeah,
It's everywhere.
You'll find it. Adam and
I
Dr.
think-
Drew show. So
Are you
we're
on YouTube now?
no, I don't think. I hope not because I'm not being paying attention to the cameras that they have in there at all.
That's true.
Which would be weird. But so yeah, we're still together. We're still friends. We still do a pod. So we are pretty much at a razor's edge these days. And you're right. We don't agree much politically, but I'm not allowed to disagree with him because he insists on me being a good improvisational side kick for him. So I have to answer everything with yes. Not only that, but I can't say no. If I say no, he freaks out.
Wow.
So there you go.
That's unfortunate for him, but I think even if you guys don't agree politically, you know, I don't agree politically with everything either of you say, too, which is natural. Of course, nobody's going to agree with anything, but
Yeah.
you guys are both very,
It makes a
very
ball game.
smart.
Yep.
You guys are both very smart, and you both have really good hearts, and I think that you care about people's best interests, which is more than I can say for the most recent administration that just finally went away. So
I'm generally suspect about politicians, just generally. I got to tell you, their behavior during this COVID thing has been quite astonishing. So, all right, Jamie,
yeah,
I'm gonna,
I mean,
go ahead.
let's
Say
be fair. Their behavior during everything is usually
Their behavior
astonishing.
during
So,
anything. Where are you calling from?
yeah. I'm in the Chicago area. I'm like just south of Wisconsin, actually.
Yeah, Illinois got hit pretty good, and again, your government was behaving strangely during this whole thing. So another mess.
I mean, his family owns a large hotel chain. I think they always act strangely in that regard. Yeah, I'm actually working at one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and I'm working in a facility that's manufacturing the COVID test. So,
oh wow!
Of course,
we thank you for that. We thank you.
Yeah, they're requiring us to get tested once a week, and they're offering the vaccine to everyone. So it's kind of interesting to see all of that from, like, I don't want to call it ground zero, but kind of ground zero, you know?
Yeah.
So
do you have any thoughts about any feelings about the vaccine? Can we reassure everybody that the proper research was done?
So I don't have intel on that. I'm a security officer. Sorry to disappoint. So of course I have my own thoughts and opinions, but they do not represent the company that I work for.
Got it.
But
all right,
yeah,
Jamie, I got to give other people a chance to come up here. I do appreciate you calling, and thanks for the political nudge.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Happy almost Passover.
Thanks, Jamie. See you soon.
Our Happy Chad Quackenbush on YouTube just gave you $4.99. As usual, thank you very much. We love it.
Do we have a question?
J&J vaccinated 11 days ago. When should we be good?
Okay.
Can we get Aditex tests in New York? How do we get in Clubhouse? We are on locals.
Clubhouse, you just get the app and look for my room.
But he paid you $5. You got to answer.
And I'm not sure how many days for the J&J test. I assume it's 2 weeks as well.
Yeah.
And you cannot get the Aditex in New York yet. That hopefully is coming. All we have is California so far. But I'm being told that they will provide practitioners the capacity to gain access to it throughout the country very soon. I think they're just ramping up their production ability to be able to meet the demand should a lot of tests come through. This is
well, tell them how to get on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a thing where you get invited. Somebody has to invite you, or you can, I don't know if you can sign up and then like people that you know that are on it will invite you.
You can get on a wait list.
Oh, you can get on a wait list. And but you go to the app and then you get on the wait list, and then if somebody you know goes, yeah, I want to invite this guy. But we are going to have a show tomorrow with Eliza Blue. She is, no music's going to come on. So we're going to have an Ask Dr. Drew tomorrow. You guys can call in 984-2 Dr. Drew. We'll be live. Anybody who's not in Clubhouse, and we'll be taking calls. The conversation is going to be about sex trafficking, but if you have any questions near the end of the show, we can probably fit you in.
Hillary, what's going on there?
Hey, I was just texting friends. I was like, "What should I ask Dr. Drew?"
Hey, how are you? What did they want to know?
I know everything, so I have two questions, and I can't believe I'm going to ask you publicly, but I don't care anymore. The world's almost over. Jamie just said that she was following you too back in the day. I'm older than her, but yeah, big fan. So we just first of all, I live in Alabama, and yes, tornadoes are about to come through, so we're under a warning for a couple hours. So
crazy!
If I go out talking to Dr. Drew, my questions better be good.
I'm going to feel guilty as hell. You better. Do you have like a Wizard of Oz basement you can go into or something?
No, I don't. I live on top of a hill because I don't know. It's like, no, this house doesn't have a bathroom.
Oh my God!
So we'll be all right. I'll be all right.
All right. Yeah, you guys, the way you guys deal with tornadoes freak me out. I mean, I would.
Well, it's true. It's new for me because I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and I just moved here about 4 years ago. So this is new, but we dealt with hurricanes there. So
yeah, right. I guess that's
true.
true.
I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
But,
so what's up?
Okay. So hold on. I got to put my headphones in. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I do.
Yeah,
okay.
we're good.
Thunder is very loud. First question. I can't believe I'm answering this. Okay, or asking this. My friend wants to know, what is the dynamic of threesome?
Your friend? And your friend needs to know this?
Asking for
my friend wants to know this. What's the dynamic?
Yeah. So let's dig in deeper. What do you mean by dynamic? What does that mean? Like, how do people tolerate it? What happens in those situations?
Yeah, what happens in those situations? Like if you have a husband and wife and they are into threesome because she's bi-curious, and what is the dynamic like with that? Is it more about because generally I think it's more about pleasing a woman with the other woman. And then, so how
we're
does
talking
it happen?
about 2 women, 1 man, right?
Yes, that's right. That's
Okay.
right.
All right. I think generally, I can only give you my experience and what I've seen people go through when they do this stuff. And it can be very destabilizing to a relationship. It's you're tossing the dice because there are always feelings that come up that you can't anticipate, right? Because it's a boundary of the situation and who knows. So one of the ways some couples will deal with that is by hiring somebody, actually bringing in a professional to, and I'm not advocating prostitution. We're going to talk about sex trafficking tomorrow, but I do know that's what people do as a way of sort of keeping the boundaries very, very, very clear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. That's what I always wondered that too. How can you keep those boundaries clear?
You really can't, because there's nothing more boundaryless than intercourse, right? Than sex, whatever. What you guys are doing, it's sort of
whatever you're doing.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm not going to disclose what's happening.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to. I'm just saying that it's something that I've just seen be very destabilizing for people. They can do it for a while, and sometimes they both sort of. It just seems like they talk themselves into it. Like, this is the most fun. This is the great. I love my wife. I love my husband. Nothing ever happens. And then it does. And then it just does. And so I don't know if you want to, particularly if you have a family, if you want to put it in that kinds of harm's way, potentially.
That makes total sense. Absolutely. Because, it's not like that third party sticks around for too long,
Right, but if somebody thinks, that was extra interesting, I think I want to do that by myself with that person, then it's on. Then there's trouble, and that happens a lot.
That's right.
It happens a lot. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. We're just human. And then the next. Thank you for answering that.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is, how long do you have to wait after the vaccine to have sexual intercourse? Sorry, my friends are so silly.
I think like 10 minutes. I don't think
10 minutes. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't think you have to worry. Just I think you're all good.
Drew would wait 1 minute if he had the option.
So yeah, I think again it depends what the question is. I mean, is the vaccine recipient okay for sexual activity?
Oh, wait, they make you wait 20 minutes in the parking lot, so you might have to wait 20 minutes.
Make sure you don't have an anaphylactic, because we don't want you to have an anaphylactic reaction and have it be mistaken for something else. So that's all I'm saying. Use your own imagination on that one. The other question is, would you be exposing a partner to COVID because you would not have any immunity? Yeah, that's possible. But in terms of vaccine safety, you're good. You're good right away.
Right. Okay. That's what. Because so the Moderna vaccine after the second dose also dropped my temperature to 94.7. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah, it was like hypothermic. It was weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird autonomic stuff with this virus, and it's strange to me that some of that same stuff we're seeing from the illness is sort of floating around the vaccination as well. And so changes in heart rate, changes in blood pressure, this is all stuff that comes with this for some reason. So
I decided to do it for humanity. That was my duty. So I'm a human guinea pig. I'm checking in with the CDC. I'm good. I'm a robot. I'm waiting on Bill Gates to turn that microchip on. I think that might be why I'm having such a good experience in Clubhouse. This might be the actual artificial reality.
He also tried to. He apparently a chip has some sort of threesome thing in it too. So as that chip turned.
Yeah, threesome. Lots of sexual activity. Yes. Yeah, we're on. It's on.
Yeah. So, but it is. It is a good way to look at it, though, which is that we have an obligation to reduce the replication of this virus, because that's how the variants come in, and that's how this thing can take another foothold again. So you're doing your public duty. Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you for pulling me up. Big fan. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Tom Segar's got a vaccine?
Tom Segar's got the vaccine? I don't know.
Said, wait, I only got a sore arm. Boo.
When he did get the vaccine.
He wants a threesome.
When he did get the vaccine. He wanted to, he wasn't just want the threesome, he wants to be thinking about having one like Hillary would.
It'll take the soreness out of your arm.
Yeah, I think she was funny. That was good. I'm looking around at your talks here, your comments here on the restream. Again, for those of you in the audience at Clubhouse, what we're doing here is we're doing a restream, live stream on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. And by the way, Twitter still does not exist on the restream. There's not been a single comment from Twitter.
No, there's Periscope's on. Oh, really?
From Periscope, that is.
Yeah, they're swapping it.
Are they swapping it?
You're live there.
Well, look, I can see you here.
So it's on Twitter instead of Periscope, maybe?
Yeah, but it's not. Let me look on, I don't know, look on your Periscope.
It's interesting.
They may have already crossed it over.
No, it says
interesting.
PC.
It says Periscope.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring some more people up.
They're just not talking.
So, Beverly, you are agreeing to be on the stream here with us.
I don't see them. Let me see if I
Hi,
can
Beverly.
find anybody.
Hello, my name is Beverly. I have
Hey.
a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have an abnormal mammogram, and the doctor has said that I cannot get the COVID vaccine yet. What's in the vaccination that may make the breast swell where they get a false?
I suspect the reason they're doing that is not about the breast, but about the lymph nodes in your armpit. That one of the things the virus does, particularly on the side where you get the vaccine, is it enlarges the lymph nodes. They're actually seeing more of that these days on mammograms and other radiographic images. And when you're trying to do a workup for breast cancer, it might end up with you getting a bunch of lymph nodes removed unnecessarily. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So that takes me out of the pool for a while. So
I'm afraid so, but I would like you to get direction from the doctor to get that vaccine as soon as you can. I'm trying to think if one of them has lesser lymphadenopathy than the others. I don't think that the AstraZeneca might actually, but again, get clearance from your doctor and then by all means get that vaccine as soon as you can, my dear. Sorry about that abnormal mammogram, but look, lots of abnormal mammograms end up being nothing. Which is, again, I think why they don't want you to get the vaccine, to scare everybody with enlarged lymph nodes, which would be a sign of dissemination of the breast cancer. Okay, so how are we doing here, Susan? Anything on your guys' mind? What is the function of lymph nodes, Panda asked. Lymph nodes is where immunological material is processed. The B cells put out the antibody in response to, essentially, the proteins are drawn back into the lymph node where they are developing and reacted to in these lymph nodes. So an army of cells can produce to recognize that antigen, that protein, if it sees it again. Does that make sense to you? So the B cells release all these humoral immunities, these humoral antibodies. It attaches to the virus and whatever the causative, the problematic agent is. Then the body's able to corral it, bring it in, present it in the lymph gland, and then create an army of cells. That's the sort of cartoon version of what happens. And of course, just think about it. It's all just biochemistry. It's just all just the strange world of thermodynamics, and these proteins, these chemical proteins that are flying around are able to do this extraordinary thing. It's really amazing. Mark keeps saying the death rate going up in 30 and 40-year-olds. Joe, I wonder if you can address that. You're looking at the data. The question is the death rate going up in 30 to 40-year-olds? I don't believe so. I've not heard that. Death rate generally is going down rather dramatically nationwide, but maybe in some other country it's going up. I don't know. Let's see. Jericho has an important question that I haven't seen. So how can I overlook a question I haven't seen? Chad's back. If anybody wants to invite me to Clubhouse, Chad Quackenbush, he is at Quack73. It's at QUOK73. That's a tip for you, Susan. Wait, what? You got to invite Chad Quackenbush to Clubhouse. It's at QUOK73. See? It's very clever, Chad. Very clever. All right, Dawn.
I think he's given us the most money on YouTube. He pays us $5 every time he says something, and we really appreciate that because we don't really make a lot of money doing these things. Okay. But I actually will consider that.
Okay, John. Let me see. Dawn saying, "Is this right? We have a virus with less than 0.002 that killed life as we knew it, and we have a vaccine that's only 60% effective and could cause blood clots. Don, that is the AstraZeneca vaccine. The other ones are much more effective and do not cause blood clots. That's not been shown to be true. In fact, now that we have all this, we have millions and millions and millions of people who have been vaccinated by this vaccine, and it looks really as safe as any vaccine I've ever seen. Okay, let me see if you guys have any other. You put your hand up if you want to come up out of the audience and chat. If you do chat, you are agreeing to be on our live stream, which is on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. Joe's going to look up the age breakdown for you now. Mark, I think it was. Barb is in line for the vaccination. She said it's more confusing than a Disneyland line. Susan, that's you, the same thing. They're saying that how confusing the lines are for the vaccine, like Disneyland with the zigzag.
Oh my gosh, my housekeeper. I just wonder if she would have hit a few of those cones taking the corners. Like she drives really. It was making me dizzy. They must have had a ton of people in line at some point, and then you feel sad for the guys that put up all those cones. You don't want to take them down. It would be an insult.
Jax, I'm not sure what you're talking about in terms of outbreaks of COVID in nursing homes after vaccination. Some of it may have been transmitted before the vaccine had a chance to take hold, perhaps. Let's bring our friend George Clark up here. Hey, George. Let's see if I can get him up here. George, what's up?
Hey, so I have a question regarding the Pfizer vaccine and its effectiveness against the South African and now the New York strain, which are very similar.
Yeah. And?
How effective is it against these new strains?
The data I saw yesterday and confirmed by Dr. Nock, if you want a good source on TikTok at Dr. Nock, a virologist, NOC, that it's 86%, if I got the number right. It was very high against variants. Not 100%, but very high. So much, right. At least as far as Pfizer goes, they had some data on that. We have 60-70% with the Johnson & Johnson so far, but maybe that will improve. We don't know. Did you get the Pfizer vaccine?
Both doses of Pfizer, and I just cleared 2 weeks after the second dose on Tuesday.
Great, congratulations! It makes you nervous, doesn't it? You worry about those variants kind of taking hold. Just makes you nervous, and particularly if you've had COVID. The thought of having it again is just, no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of when I heard the news, it was like adding insult to injury. I just finished, and then like, there's a variant that's might make it not.
I know
all that.
I know
time.
It's looking pretty good. It's not great. It's not it's not 100%, but it's looking pretty good. And then I think Moderna is going to have a booster that will bring things up as well. All right, George, thank you. I'm going to see if I can can also simultaneously here. I'm going to put Dr. Nock's latest thing up here.
I'm a scientist who studies COVID.
Oh, stop it. Here we go.
This is your update for Wednesday, March 17th. Do the COVID vaccines give you any immunity? Do they?
Here we go. Try this again.
Come on.
Risk of being infected? Do they reduce your risk of transmitting the virus? As we've been getting more data, the answer has become increasingly clear that it's yes. They do reduce your risk of being infected, somewhere in the range of 70 to 90%. They reduce your viral load, how much virus you're emitting, even if you still do get infected, and therefore they reduce your risk of transmission to other people. There has been a lot of confusion about this and a lot of misinformation about this topic because for a while we didn't have these data yet. And so the CDC and the vaccine makers said it may reduce transmission. We don't know if it does. There's no evidence that it does reduce transmission because at the time there was no data.
Right.
But now we do have data that it is helping to reduce your risk even of asymptomatic infection and therefore your risk of transmission. I'm a scientist who studies COVID-19. This is your update.
Okay, quiet, Dr. Nock.
For Wednesday, March 17th.
I'm going to see if I can get his, if he had the update on the variants. You guys mentioned the blood clots. Dr. Nock is a very high quality scientist. And I thought he had.
I texted him. He didn't respond. Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to tell you about the blood clots.
I'm a scientist who studies COVID-19. Today is paused rollout at the AstraZeneca.
This is Drew's tech skills.
causal link between the vaccine and blood clots. This is what we know so far. As of last week, over 5 million people in Europe had received the Oxford vaccine. Out of those 5 million people, about 30 reported a blood clotting event sometime after receiving a vaccine. Currently, they're doing an analysis to see if there appears to be any increased risk of blood clotting events after vaccination compared to the rate that you would sort of just generally expect in the population. Right now, it does not look like the rate of observed events is much higher than you would expect in the general population. So
okay, so that's the end of that. So we'll have to see where the study shows up. But I believe he did have, where did he put?
He gets a lot of information. In a very
yeah, he's
short
very
period.
good at, very clear at putting stuff out. That's why I like us listening to him. So the really important information is that the transmission, all this stuff about, Susan, you've been complaining about not being able to move about because they've not been clear about the transmission risk. Now there's at least with the Pfizer vaccine, very clear data on improved no transmission in a vast majority of cases. Sandra. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Dr. Drew. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Wandering around my office, trying to find somewhere quiet.
Nice.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask a question in regards to the discussion yesterday. The gentleman you were speaking to kept mentioning that we shouldn't have to wear masks after being vaccinated. And just to clarify, I was under the impression that the reason we do that is because if a strong variant were to occur, now we are passing that variant around rather than the one that we're vaccinated against.
There is good activity against the variants. Not great, but good.
But could that not mutate further to the point where us vaccinated people are no longer protected at all?
Could the variants take hold and cause another surge? Yes, that's true. And for people like me that have had COVID, that is a even the remote possibility, which is not a likely possibility, makes me nuts. But right. I would not worry about it because if you've been vaccinated, it really looks like you're in pretty good shape. And at this point, at least in this country, it seems pretty well controlled. Sorry, I'm going to try to get everyone up here if I possibly can. Gail, what's going on there? Gail.
Hi there, Dr. Drew.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. I'm a transplant patient. I'm getting my second Moderna shot next week.
Good.
Do we think I'm even going to develop antibodies because I take an immunosuppressive drug?
Right. What transplant? Kidney?
A liver, a living donor liver.
Oh my God, that's good for you. My understanding is that thus far the data on a transplant patient has been pretty good. Now, did they tell you something different? Your team?
Well, there was a Johns Hopkins study recently, and for people who got the first shot, it was like 17% out of like 400 and something people who did develop antibodies after the first shot. I don't think they have the results yet from the second shot.
I thought I had read something. You're right. I was reading more about immunosuppression from chemotherapeutics. I wasn't reading about the specific transplant immunosuppression. My bet is, what have they told you to do? They're going to follow your antibody response and maybe even give you a booster if there's not a response?
They haven't said anything yet, but I'm in the Johns Hopkins study, so they're gonna give me an antibody test after, they're sending one right now. So before my second shot, I can do that. And after the second, I'm also going to ask for one just to see, not right after, but maybe like 4 weeks after.
Great. It is very concerning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I waited all this time, and I'm like, I'm not going to develop any.
I know, but I'm glad you guys are doing it systematic. I feel confident they'll find a way to stimulate things sufficiently to get things going. Are you on an unusual amount of immunosuppression?
Normal,
or just sort of standard?
Tacro and cell shops, yeah.
And you've done pretty well with graft versus host versus graft, all that stuff?
I've done well with my transplant, and my meds are fine. And I really, to be honest, I don't touch a lot of people. I never get sick. And I used to travel on the subway all the time. Never. I would wash my hands all the time. So
very
funny because no one I know has COVID either.
Yeah, please be careful. You do not want to get. Trust me, you don't want to get this on top of everything else you do. But I feel, please. How can we get? Send me, if you wouldn't mind emailing us at contact@drdrew.com and let me know what happens from here. I'd be very interested to hear how your course goes and how you're doing. Would you mind that?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Contact@drdrew.com.
Yes,
Sure.
please. Thanks, Gail.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks.
Oh goodness. Susan wants to come on here. No. Well, you just raised your hand, so.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it on purpose.
All right, let's get Caroline up here. Hold on here. Caroline, see if we can get her. Hi, Caroline.
Hi. Quick question. Around a year ago, right now, I had sudden sensory neural hearing loss.
Oh boy.
After a few weeks of a crazy virus, which was the end of January, beginning of February, which knowing everything, I would think was COVID, and that was very unpleasant. The hearing loss, not even just the hearing loss, but the pain and discomfort and whatever. So I did whatever I could, which I was told at the time there's not really anything definitive, but I did a couple of weeks of hyperbaric oxygen tank, steroids, etc. And I had a couple tests after, and it had improved each time. And more importantly, like the discomfort and the pain had improved, so I kind of didn't care anymore. But I still feel like weirdness sometimes, like pressure or a little more uncomfortable flying, or like almost like things are moving in there. I don't know if it's neurological in that ear. Is that something I have to worry about?
No.
Kind of coming back or recurring, or is there anything else I could be doing?
I mean, as we get older, there's a certain amount of sensory neural hearing loss that some people have naturally, but no, it sounds like you've done some very good interventions for this. But once that eighth nerve has been injured, it's hard to make it perfect again. You're likely to have fullness and ringing and some degree of sensory loss in certain ranges. But it sounds like you have minimal symptoms. That's pretty good.
That is okay, because they told me that there's really no treatment, but if you discover it within 14 days, then you could do the 1,500 minutes in a tank. And I was like, well, I can't live like this, so I did it. But I at the time also had that like horrible post whatever crazy virus cough and like glue-like congestion, so it was pretty difficult to do it. I did, I think, the 1,200 minutes at the time. But
did that help the pulmonary?
Like
did it help the pulmonary symptoms at all?
I think I feel like it almost, it was really torturous. I was coming out of there feeling even more like my head was underwater, but I think maybe it moved stuff around almost. I think maybe it like got stuff going, but it was uncomfortable because I think it's contraindicated to do a hyperbaric oxygen tank when you have, sinus and ear issues, but at the same time, it was the only thing to do. And they hadn't even at that time talked about loss of taste or smell, or certainly not the hearing loss. I was kind of ahead of the curve, I think.
Yeah, because like I said, I had the same thing. It got my eighth nerve too. I have it to this minute.
Like I said, this happened to me in March, so I've been talking about all the time. Like, have they come up with is there anything else to do for it?
Well,
like I said, it improved a lot.
Well, I will tell you, for whatever reason, I mean, it's possible that this is a temporal lobe thing and not, or even a brainstem thing and not an eighth cranial nerve. I just guess that's the eighth cranial nerve since we know it hits the first and the 12th, right? It's smell and taste. But I have to tell you, it got better. My main symptom is ringing, not so much the loss, right? And the ringing got better with fluvoxamine, rather significantly. So that helped me.
I have ringing occasionally, but just weird pressure feeling sometimes.
Yeah. And
I did do steroids back then, but also I had to have a brain MRI at the time because they weren't necessarily associating it. They said it happens post-viral, but they didn't know what the weird virus I had was at the time. And so I had an MRI to look for a neuroma. I don't know if that would have shown anything other than the neuroma that I didn't have. But
well,
I did
it
have
would show.
That
I mean, this virus causes. I mean, some people are getting MRI changes, but mostly you have to really be looking for that anyway.
Yeah. So there's nothing else if I wanted to do anything and everything, there's nothing else I could be doing.
I mean, it sounds like you're doing really, really well. Sounds like this is, it doesn't bother you. This hearing is back. You don't have ringing ears very often. I mean, that's pretty darn good if you've had a real injury.
I had a test. This happened in like February, March, and then I had tests again in March and again in August. So it really took like the 6 months of all kinds of other kinds of progression and the cough and everything else. But yeah, I guess it's fine in terms of the hearing. I don't care.
And if my experience is anything of a template, my ringing in my ears has changed in pitch, changed in intensity, is generally going away and getting better. So this stuff does kind of get better if it's a COVID related thing.
Well, being a year ahead of you, I can tell you it does get better, but I just still feel weirdness. So I just wonder if there's anything, if it could come back. I definitely don't want to ever go back
I
to
don't
where it
see
was.
it. No, I don't see it coming back. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me that it will. I could see you getting dizziness and having problems with things like that, but I don't think the sensory component would necessarily start to be a problem. Okay?
Okay.
All right,
Great,
Carolyn.
thank you.
Good job. Well done. More questions. Susan, you're still on my raised hand list. I don't know why.
Listen, I'm just learning this app.
Jessica.
I'm the tech guy. I just get the sound work. And
somebody asked.
I invited Chad because I found
good
his
job.
phone number in an email, but I don't know if he gave us the right phone.
Mary
sometimes
asked,
people give us
what
bad-
shouldn't you take before the vaccine? And you shouldn't take non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Advil, no Tylenol, and afterwards you shouldn't drink for 3 days. So see if
How do I
Jessica
unraise
comes
my
on
hand?
in.
It just says followed by speakers. How do I unraise my hand?
I don't know.
Wait, press that.
I maybe accidentally pushed the following sign.
I'll leave quietly. How about that?
Okay, that's
Bye-bye.
See, it's hard to know once I push the button.
It's confusing. These new apps,
Yeah,
it's
there's
like...
some stuff that's a little confusing here.
I hope Chad Quackenbuck gave me the right phone number on his email because I just texted him randomly, so I know.
Okay, I'll turn that off.
Press the hand again. Joe just told me, texted me, press the hand again. Okay.
Why?
To get out of the thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, I can't undo. Maybe I can do this. Hold on, you guys got to give me a second, or I'm gonna have a couple people up here at once.
Being a tech, you can put more than one person up at a time, right?
Yeah, I think. All right, let's get John.
Somebody had a question about fluvoxamine.
I answered it.
Oh, you did?
It was fluoxetine, not fluvoxamine.
Oh, fluoxetine.
Different.
Oh, okay.
John, what's happening?
Hey, it's an honor, Dr. Drew. I tuned in the other day when you were talking.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, I really love what you touched on. I believe it was yesterday's, and you were just talking about the amount of fear, and it's something that just resonates with me extremely heavy. I mean, my family is it's split on what everyone's kind of views of this whole thing are. It's like I want to take precautions. I mean, my mother is living in a bubble, and I had listened to you yesterday about different strategies for that and vice versa, but kind of more so what I wanted you to touch on, I guess, for the people is this effect on children. I just
Hey man,
it really
I have been
me.
worried about this. I was doing a news broadcast on the night here in Los Angeles when they determined they were going to close the schools, and I literally said, who made that decision? Did the CDC tell you to do that? Did some physician make that decision? No, it's the right thing to do. It will have been the biggest misadventure of probably thus far in the century. It is harming, and I mean the amount of harm done to particularly 8 to 15-year-olds is unconscionable. Increase in drug use. All those electronic media they're using, most of it they're exposing and sharing to each other a bunch of pornography. That's up like 180%. Suicide up. Substance use up. I mean, it's just, you can't get a hospital bed for an adolescent in the state of New York. They're full. I mean, just one thing after another, and really seemingly no concern about it. Like, I know Dr. Fauci has raised the possibility of a mental health pandemic. He's the only guy I've seen talking about it thus far, really, in terms of the seriousness of it. 90,000 opiate overdoses so far in the last 12 months. What's it going to take, everybody, before we... And think about it just this way. You're a 12-year-old or 11-year-old, and you're supposed to be at school developing your social skills. We pull you out of there. We put masks over everybody. We tell you that if you get near another person, you're going to kill your grandmother, and you can't go visit anybody because you'll kill Granny.
And then Grandma's afraid to go out too.
So not only do they not have the time spent developing social skills, they're horrified to socially interact with anybody, and so social phobias are being escalating to an extraordinary degree. So yeah, it's a really serious topic.
Yeah, and one last thing. Like I said, I'm honored to even be able to talk to you. This is fantastic. I grew up listening to you and Adam with Loveline, man. So,
yeah.
it's fantastic to begin with. But shoot.
It's all right. That's the way my brain works. Don't
Can
worry.
I slip a quick question in? Somebody paid $5. I think
Okay.
you missed my $5 question. I had COVID 3 months back, PCR and lab test, very mild symptoms. Now 2 antibody tests are negative. Why?
That happens. Why?
Yeah, I guess
Because that happens.
You get through it, right? And then you have to get the
So
vaccine.
this is the thing, right? This is the thing about, particularly with mild COVID, why they're recommending vaccination within 3 months. You can get an additive score if you want to spend that money to really see what your actual immune profile looks like. But I think, to me, the better part of valor is just go get the vaccine. That's what it seems to me. Really, it does. But yeah, John, I am very concerned about an entire generation. My friends that are in child psychology and child psychiatry, I have, if you want to listen to a podcast that'll scare the hell out of you, I did a podcast with Dr. Lisa Stroman on the Dr. Drew podcast. It was about 3 weeks back, where she reviewed the data.
Yes, I listened to that.
Yeah, right? And that's scary. And I have a child psychiatrist friend who I'm going to get on here soon, Susan. That child psychiatrist, I keep telling you, we got to get her on here. This will be the perfect time now on the follow-on of this. And I asked her, how's it going? She goes, anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression. That's like, great.
Could have had her today.
Great. All right, John.
Yeah, well,
thanks.
this
Go ahead.
One last thing, if you don't mind. And this
Yeah.
is something that bothered me from the beginning. You know, I mean, I like to consider myself a pretty well-read individual, and I even in the beginning of this didn't really look and think too much into when they're saying like flatten the curve, right? Like, I for some reason I just associated it with like the virus and the number of viruses, not necessarily hospitals. And my brother-in-law, he's a general surgeon down in Florida. He's South African originally, so was a surgeon over there. But I was fascinated talking to people. I almost felt like there were too many people that weren't really getting the concept of this thing was supposed to be, had to do with the hospitals as far as flattening the curve.
Right. No one ever said we were. They
right?
never said we were going to prevent death or prevent the outbreak or change how the virus behaved. Then we suddenly shifted from let's not overwhelm the hospital system to 0 deaths. 1 death is too many. And then all the tier systems got set to the point where we're going to get to 0 virus before we open up, which will never happen. That will never happen. This is an endemic virus now. We're going to be living with this virus from now on. It's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry.
It's very weird.
Yeah, and that's what my brother-in-law kept saying, like being South African. He's like, I don't know what it is with you Americans. He's like, with this whole, every life. We got to save every life. And I'm thinking, that's not even, it doesn't make much sense. You know what I mean? Like, there's just this fascination that I'm thinking you could relate that to anything in our culture, from drugs to our diets.
Right. 1 death is too many. Well, we can't drive cars. That's the end of cars. We not over 12 miles an hour, at least. And even then,
you can't walk outside.
1 death is too many. Well,
you can't walk in New York.
Can't ride a bike. Can't ride a motorcycle. Can't walk on the streets in New York. God forbid. There's lots of deaths there walking the streets.
Or in a subway.
Yeah. So.
Well, Dr. Drew, it's been a pleasure, man. I'll hop off the stage, give it up.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
So, Drew, really quick, DJ Englewood wanted to know about elevated creatine kinase levels. 700 over the last year have not noticed a decrease in muscle mass and straight.
So that needs to be explained, unless you're on steroids or something where your CK is up because your muscle mass is so high. So you probably should see a nephrologist because the CPK can damage the kidney. And so that's kind of a concern. And you wonder if there's something, if you're otherwise okay in terms of muscle health. In other words, are you breaking down muscle? Is there some inflammation in your muscle for some reason? And there are myositis, myopathies, things that can hurt muscle that need to be evaluated. But I think the first order of business would probably to see a nephrologist to make sure your kidneys are okay.
Guess what? Chad made it on.
Oh, good. Now I'm betting.
And we have to go, so take them quick.
We have to go. He's not up here.
Do you guys happen to see? I don't know if you guys see me for some reason.
Jessica's up there.
I don't. Oh, Jessica made it. Okay, good. What's up, Jessica?
Hi, Dr. Drew. This is Jessica. I am too a longtime fan. I just turned 40, so I was a Loveline girl too. So I am so grateful. You have no idea. I follow all of your shows,
It's very kind.
and I feel I can't even believe it, to be honest. I'm screenshotting, going, "Hubby, can you believe this?" But I have a very, very, very real question though that I've wanted to pick your brain on.
Go ahead.
I know you have always been very concerned. You've even shared about the blood clotting aspect with COVID.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
For me, I was diagnosed prior to my pregnancies. I have it's called prothrombin factor 2. It's like factor 5 Leiden, but it's called factor 2.
Okay.
So I'm prone to, but I've never actually had a clot.
And
Both of my pregnancies, I took Lovenox.
do you have antiphospholipid antibodies? Do you know?
I do not have any of the other. No, I do not have, like, my hematologist had done the entire panel of all the other types of blood clotting, and I have MTHFR homozygous, but I'm heterozygous for prothrombin.
Okay.
So but I do not think I have the other ones as well. So I'm just go ahead.
That's a very, very specific clotting abnormality, right? And do you have any bleeding?
No. So I don't have any. I don't showcase any symptoms, but I took Lovenox throughout my pregnancies as a preventative and baby aspirin, according to my hematologist.
All right.
Early on, when this whole thing came through, she was big on, like, do not leave the house. This is like in April. She was because of the.
Yes.
But what I'm kind of curious is, in general, I'm a very healthy. I feel very healthy. I've had blood work done to make sure my inflammatory markers, everything's good.
Good.
But is it something where, like, the inflammatory response is what's triggering the clotting to where, or is it something? Because I haven't left the house because of this.
The answer is,
fearful.
I get it. Listen, the group that does poorly is those with the antiphospholipid antibodies. They do really badly. So we're sort of extrapolating from that group to people like you going, things could go bad. I even worry about you with the vaccine, right? You need to talk to your hematologist. Did you have the vaccine yet?
I have not done it because I'm very, I'm a very, like, huge, like, inform myself on all, every,
I worry
I'm an
about
overthinker.
That. Yeah, I worry about that for you as well. And I'm assuming they would give you probably full dose aspirin, I would think. But there's all kinds of goofy stuff with COVID that we don't fully understand. Even things like, the platelets are behaving abnormally, and not only the platelets, but the platelet precursor called megakaryocytes are showing up in the brain and where they don't belong in the arteries, the small vessels in the brain. And so somebody like you with a tendency towards clotting, I'd be really nervous about if you got COVID, and I'd be nervous about even with the vaccine. So make a plan with it's going to be a really interesting question. Would you take some Lovenox maybe before the vaccine, or just aspirin, or both? I would make the decision with the hematologist, but I think I would get the vaccine. I really do. And why not make it? And I'd probably get the Johnson & Johnson, since it's a one-time exposure, to risk 2 exposures, right?
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And my doctors have said that, if I did get COVID, obviously I would immediately be taking Lovenox. And I'm just kind of curious if Lovenox seems to prevent, because, like you said, it's doing funky things, right? It's not doing like
doesn't.
A typical type of
Right.
body,
Anticoagulation doesn't work that well, because it is something to do with the inflammation and something to do with the endothelium and the platelets. There's something funky going on there that's not just the clotting system. And it's, again, remember, it's the antiphospholipid people that get into trouble, and they are in a chronically inflamed state. That's an inflammatory sort of phenomenon. Yours is a genetic thing where you don't make as many proteins, you make a different protein than you should. And you may actually not be at added risk, but it makes me very, very nervous. Makes me very, very nervous.
Okay.
Very nervous.
I was afraid you would say that, but I'm actually very glad, and I feel empowered talking to you, because I knew, I've heard you on many interviews, and you've been searching for this answer. I feel it, and I'm like,
I know. I am looking for this issue. This one bothered me, and when I was sick with it bothered me too. I didn't worry about dying. I worried about clotting abnormalities, and something happened that way. So I took aspirin when I was sick.
Yes. No, I heard you say that, and I feel the same. And it's, a lot of my friends don't understand. They're like, Jessica, you're healthy. No, you don't understand.
It's more complicated. It's very complicated. And because we don't really know what's causing the clotting, we can't give you a real definitive answer, right? But I think a hematologist, with using their judgment, should be able to guide you through this. But I think the J&J vaccine is the one you want.
Okay, no, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Dr. Drew, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Question.
And I'll keep following your story and your.
Thank you, and you too. I asked somebody earlier, asked Gail to send me updates on contact.drew.com.
Okay, you got to get Chad on for 3 seconds.
Okay. All right, I got to go, Jennifer. Thank you.
And then Caleb's got to take over so you can film your thing.
Bye. Yes, I know. I got to do our thing. And this is Chad. Chad, you made it. Chad made it. Well done, sir.
Dr. Drew, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Now we have to go.
Go ahead.
No, we're kidding. Okay.
But go ahead, Chad.
I really just wanted to tell you and Susan that since March of last year, my whole family and I have been watching every single show and almost like taking notes, but relaying information that we see off of your show, and it's really kept us sane through this.
That was the original intent, Chad, was just to try to keep people glued together during the panic porn that they were being exposed to 24/7, and try to get some truth and try to figure out where the truth was. And I think we kind of navigated it pretty well. I think we did.
And Dr. Drew, one thing I just always wanted to talk to you about was, we were big Trump supporters up here. We're in rural upstate New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
But during this crisis, we also, like my family and I, also liked how Andrew Cuomo was handling it from the beginning.
So do we.
And it's like, and we're in that I'm in that alt middle stage now where I'm like, I can't go all the way to the right and all the way to the left. Like, I have to listen to guys like you and that Z-Dog MD guy, and just listen to people and just listen to common sense and then try to figure it out for myself. And I think that's one thing that my whole family is taking from this crisis, is that we're no longer left or right anymore. Like, we're straight down the middle, and we're just going to listen to science from now on out.
Good for you. That's progress as far as I'm concerned. Good for you. And I too, we kind of admired what Governor Cuomo was doing, because he was very deliberate, and he was on top of it, and he was making good decisions. And then, he went too far. He just kept going. It was like, and this is one of the mysteries of this whole experience for me, is why is that so satisfying to tell people how to live their life? And why do people want that? That's confusing to me. You should be like you, wanting to make decisions for yourself, be safe, do it on your own, and move forward. Right. Yeah.
Well, you should have seen us get canceled by our friends on Facebook and stuff because, I was a Trump supporter and I'm still leaning to the right a little bit. But just because I was saying nice things about our governor on Facebook on how he was keeping us informed and the whole 9 yards for over the year, you would have thought I was stabbing somebody in the face the way they would cancel my own friends.
We have got to get over this. We have got to get over it.
I know.
It really is ridiculous.
Medicine
our
does
behavior,
not mix with politics.
Bill Maher did a little post about this I think it was last show, where he went, we are, the rest of the world looks at us and we're squibbling, quabbling, fighting about nonsense, while other countries like China are just getting on with their business, getting on with things. They're laughing at us. But here we are, so.
But we want to hear you come back on the next show. We have to go.
All right, I got to go, Chad. Thank you, buddy.
So much.
Thanks, everybody, for the great questions. And sorry I have to cut you guys short.
Yeah, thank you on Clubhouse. You guys are always great. I love Clubhouse, the smartest damn callers on Clubhouse. And people are inviting
also great questions, and I don't have to pay money to have you on the phone.
Yeah, right, and great questions
people
on the Restream.
People are paying me money to be on the phone. So
Crazy Mook, Rational Revolution. It's always great to see you guys all on the stream here. We appreciate it very, very much. And those of you listening in the audience here, we appreciate you swinging by. We do this streaming show on most days. We'll be back again at 3:30 tomorrow. Is that correct?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock Pacific tomorrow. We are
Eliza
speaking Eliza Blue, who has been a human trafficked. She has been trafficked and has expertise in human trafficking
and helping others.
We're going to find out what's going on and helping people, extract.
We found her through locals.
Yes, we found her through locals.
Okay.
Right. And I think we'll be in here next couple of days as well. But I'm going to end the room here on locals. I thank you guys for being a part of it.
Well, you want to hear him? We'll let him hear the ad.
Okay, go ahead. We'll keep you going for a minute.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. As we're gradually moving back to opening schools and businesses and, of course, our in-person interactions, I want to remind you, this is all time with cold and flu season getting going. Staying hydrated is key to helping your body deal with the added stress and with the upcoming flu season. My regular fans have heard me talk about a product called Hydrolite for a long time now. It's an amazing rapid rehydration drink. It's a mix that, well, we're obsessed with here. I'm excited to announce they've just released Hydrolite Plus Immunity, just in time for cold and flu season. Hydrolite Plus Immunity starts with their fast-absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of immune-boosting ingredients. Each single-serve, easy-pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 300 milligrams of elderberry extract, creates what is hopefully immune-boosting formula that's high in antioxidants and zinc. Combining this with Hydrolite's 7 key electrolytes, it's a fantastic way to stay proactive and properly hydrated. Hydrolite Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy-to-pour powder sticks that rapidly dissolve in water and make a great tasting drink that has 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. It uses all natural flavors, and it is gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and it is vegan. And you can find Hydrolite Plus by visiting hydrolyte.com/Dr. Drew. Again, that's HYDRALYTE.com/DRDRW. And be sure to use our code Dr. Drew 25 at checkout for a special discount.